Oh boy, time to complain about Nintendo again. So over the past few months, Nintendo has been drip feeding us information, sometimes about the Nintendo Switch 2, like its backwards compatibility, as well as other information like the Xenoblade Chronicles X remaster coming to Switch later next year, as well as an $100 alarm clock with Mario on it, and it connects to the internet and watches me sleep. I don't like that. But definitely the most surprising thing to come from the latest string of announcements was Nintendo's own music streaming service, Nintendo Music. I don't know what else you expected for the name to be. It's literally Nintendo Music. Now, this was a really weird announcement for Nintendo. I mean, for a company that really hates releasing its old games on newer hardware, as well as copyright striking literally any channel that has been uploading and archiving their music for years, it came as a really big shock, but definitely a welcome one on paper. Aha, I got you. You thought I was going to say it was good. I said on paper. That means it's bad! First things first, let's talk about what I do actually like about the app. As I stated before, Nintendo Music does provide us with an official way to listen to Nintendo music. I know, crazy. Back in my day, I'm saying that like I'm 50, but I'm only like 19. If you wanted to listen to any Nintendo music, you would either A, have to hope that it was in the new Smash Brothers game, and then listen to it in the long music player there, or B, you would just look it up online and just listen to it on YouTube. This is not a new thing, guys. We've been doing this for years. Now, with this app, it does make it really convenient to find literally any singular game and just listen to a single song off of it. And it also does make it convenient to make playlists of the songs that you want to listen to. Alongside having an official way to listen to the music, it also does serve as an archive to all of these games and their soundtracks. For someone like me, who doctors like to describe as borderline obsessive about Nintendo games, this is a really nice thing to see Nintendo do. It's really nice to have a way to preserve all of these games as well as their soundtracks in such a convenient and accessible way, and if you know Nintendo, they really hate doing any of what I just said. Going more into the app's features, one feature I personally really love is the extension option, which allows you to extend any song you would like up to an hour. The only exception to this is like the sound effects, which this is a great addition. Sometimes on the way to work or while studying, I'll turn on an Animal Crossing song for an hour and just listen to that. Or if you're a psychopath, you may listen to the Guardian theme from Breath of the Wild for an hour. Up to you. Another feature that is great for someone who hasn't played every single Nintendo game is the spoiler protection feature, which will automatically remove any music from a game you haven't experienced yet. Personally, I don't really have much use for this feature because I'm talking about a Nintendo app. I mean, I feel like this is pretty self-explanatory. But other than, obviously playing most Nintendo games, there is no search feature, so in the future you're going to have to scroll through a huge list of Nintendo games in order to find the exact ones you haven't played, and B, there isn't really any way to listen to any music from the games that you haven't played at all. I understand that it is pretty much impossible to add a system that would be able to track what games you've played, how long you've played them for, where you're at in the game, and unlock the songs according to your progress. However, I think it would still be really cool to have some cool songs from the game still accessible so that when you're playing it, you can come back to those pretty cool songs and listen to them. Again, this is just kind of a nitpick, so take it with a grain of salt. The last compliment I can honestly give the app is that it is included with your Nintendo Switch Online subscription. It's not forced onto the expansion pass, and thank God it's not forced onto the goddamn Nintendo Switch Online app. Thank the Lord for that. Chances are, if you already own a Nintendo Switch, you're already paying the $20 a year for Nintendo Switch Online, so not having to pay extra for a music app is pretty nice. Even if you don't have a subscription to NSO, $20 a year for a music streaming app that contains a large amount of well-known video game music isn't bad if you really want to listen to it. I can understand why people would be upset with this, especially if you don't even own a Nintendo Switch, like, you're not getting anything out of the subscription other than Nintendo Music. However, this is still a cheaper alternative to paying for YouTube Premium to listen to the music while your phone is off. So I definitely think that the $20 a year isn't really a bad thing. Now, Although I just did spend the last few minutes talking about why I love the cool features and all the random stuff included in this app, I still think Nintendo Music is extremely underwhelming and disappointing, especially not only for the standards of Nintendo, but for the standards of a music app in general. Now, the first thing that struck me as concerning was the lack of games at launch. In total, there were only 23 games available to listen to at the launch of this app. Now, breaking the number down, there were only 8 games for the Nintendo Switch, 2 games for the Wii, 2 games for the DS, only 1 game for the GameCube and the GBA, 2 games for the Nintendo 64, the SNES, the Game Boy, and 3 for the NES. Now, since the app did drop back at the end of October, we have gotten weekly releases which have added 4 more games to the catalog of Nintendo Music. But genuinely, for Nintendo to only give us 1 to 3 games per system, especially when they have already a large list of games that already have amazing soundtracks, and they couldn't even include the Wii U and 3DS, is insane.
It's my IP to sit on and do nothing with.
How did they miss the 3DS? Like, still, that is shocking to me. Nintendo already has a gigantic catalog of amazing soundtracks that have just been completely ignored at launch. Super Mario 64, The Legend of Zelda The Wind Waker, Super Metroid, literally any Pokemon game outside of Scarlet and Violet have just been completely ignored. Instead of providing us with a decent amount of soundtracks at launch, Nintendo has just decided to completely ignore that thought and just use the free update model that they've been using for so many games and has genuinely ruined so many games. I hate the free update model, by the way. If I can rant about this for a second, literally every single Mario sports game has used the free update model, and they have all sucked because of that. Mario... God damn it. Mario Strikers Battle League literally came out with almost the exact amount of characters that you need to play the game with. There was no variety when the game came out. In addition to things that Nintendo completely forgot to put in the app, let's talk about crediting their composers. When you go onto any song and look at the track information tab that's listed in the options for every song, the only information is the song name and the game's name, which is already listed when you're listening to the song. And like, yeah, I guess Nintendo would copyright the Nintendo music. This is such a genuinely insulting thing to omit from a music app. Imagine being one of the artists that genuinely worked so hard to create the music that Nintendo is so well known for in the first place, and then just having Nintendo completely erase your name from it and write theirs in red marker, and you can't erase it. No excuse in the world could make sense here, because Nintendo already credits the composers in the game credits. You know, the game credits where you beat the game and then you see a bunch of names drop down slowly and you're forced to watch them because on the first time beating the game, you're not allowed to skip the credits, but after the second time, a magic little plus sign appears, so then, you know, you're allowed to do it. Do you think I really finished Pokemon Scarlet and Violet in the mess that they were just to listen to Ed Sheeran sing? This is real, by the way. No, I didn't. I promise. I just want to see the people who made the game be credited in some sort of way, because they worked hard on all of this stuff. This shouldn't have to be something I complain about on the internet. Oh, and while we're already talking about it, another little itty-bitty tiny little thing that Nintendo just missed is including the original songs to the soundtracks. Now, I'm not personally an expert on how music is made, or mixed, or anything like that, but there is a really great video by James Money that explains all of this in great detail, so if anything like that sounds interesting to you, I highly recommend checking out his video, because it's a really great insight to the mixing issues that Nintendo has in Nintendo Music. For some brief context on what I'm talking about, the mixing in songs like the Wii Shop channel contain weird issues like high amounts of bass and reverb that aren't in the original versions whatsoever. Now, in the comments of James Money's video, I did see a lot of people saying that there was most likely an intentional decision by Nintendo because these versions are actually versions from a 2008 CD that contained all of these songs. However, wouldn't you prefer Nintendo Music to have the original sounding versions of these songs and not some weirdly mixed version that was made to be put onto a CD in 2008? I get that it is kind of personal opinion, and this isn't really an issue that is surrounding every single soundtrack in the app. It is just kind of an issue with the Wii Channel stuff, but it does kind of suck that we don't have original versions of these songs that mimic or recreate the actual sound of being on a Wii and listening to the Wii Shop channel. But you know what? Let's move to a different topic. Instead of talking about what Nintendo forgot, let's more so talk about, the accessibility of the app. I mean, the app is just the beginning, guys. Let's talk about the versions on PC and everything like that. Where's the version for PC? Is there like a website or no? I don't really know what I'm supposed to say here. So, Nintendo Music, for whatever reason, is only on mobile devices. There is no version on PC. There is no website to stream the music off of like Spotify. If you want to listen to any of this music on your desktop, on your laptop, on anything that isn't your phone, you still have to go to YouTube and look up Silva Gunner. Thank God, baby. I've always hated convenience. Now, I understand that releasing a mobile app is probably where you would want to start by releasing a music app because, you can connect it to your car, you can connect it to a speaker, literally anything, and you can play it. The access of Bluetooth is insane, guys. But not having a version where I can listen to Nintendo Music anywhere else officially is insane. Especially in 2024. Maybe as time goes on, we could see a version of an app come onto PC as a downloadable app or as a web player like Spotify, but for the time being, it is literally just stuck on mobile unless if you want to go out of your way and download an Android emulator so you can download the app and play it on your PC. But again, Silva Gunner exists, so I'm not doing that. Now, I know I've been complaining about Nintendo Music, but this is something I've always really wanted. Nintendo has so many great pieces of music from over the years. I mean, if you've ever seen the final Breath of the Wild trailer or the Tears of the Kingdom trailer, you know how crazy this shit goes. For many years, so many fans have dreamed of a service or just a possible way to officially listen to Nintendo music and all of the soundtracks and everything like that. But for it to be released in such a disappointing state is really hard for me to see, especially as a Nintendo fan. Now, in the future, I really want to see Nintendo address these issues because I genuinely can see this being a really great way to listen to any Nintendo music from the past or the present or even the future for all I know. But there needs to be changes as soon as possible. For one, I would really like to have more releases more often. Instead of only one game per week, do 3 or 4 so I don't have to wait years to listen to Earthbound like I had to wait years to play it on my Nintendo Switch, because that is still ridiculous. You know how many years we waited to have it accessible on that goddamn thing? Too many. Another big thing that is kind of crazy that I even have to say this, please credit your composers or literally any artist that worked on the song. Maybe even just the major composers would be a good start. Hopefully with time, Nintendo Music will start to become a better service. But for the time being, it's a big disappointment. But that doesn't mean I'm not gonna play Big Blue while going 90 on the goddamn highway.